Have you ever felt strange during your own childhood? As if you were seeing the world through a lens that no one else used? While other children lived carefree, perhaps you found yourself wondering why everything seemed so shallow, so disconnected. That feeling was not a coincidence. It was a silent reminder that you carried a rare and uncommon essence. Many tried to make you fit in, but something inside you always resisted. You noticed details no one mentioned, felt deep emotions in simple moments, and at times seemed older than your age. From an early age, you didn't just live, you observed. And in that silence, something inside you whispered that your path would not be like everyone else's. Over time, those sensations were muffled, camouflaged by routine and the demands of the world. But they never disappeared. They remained dormant, waiting for the right moment to awaken. And perhaps that moment is now. Today, you will understand why your childhood was different, and more importantly, why all of it was part of a greater plan that you hadn't yet fully understood. Today, I'm going to reveal 11 clear signs that show you were already a chosen one since childhood. And I'm not talking about empty theories. I'm talking about marks that life left on you. Spiritual evidence that proves your journey was always guided. If you identify with at least 7 of these signs, this will be the confirmation your soul has been waiting for. Now, I ask you to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and stay with me until the end. I'm George. And if you are here right now, it was not by coincidence. You are awakening. Sign 1. You felt like you didn't belong. From an early age, there existed within you a strange, hard-to-explain impression that you didn't fully belong to the environment where you were born. Even when surrounded by people, there was an inner silence that no one seemed to understand. At family gatherings, at school, even among friends, you felt as if you were just passing through. Conversations didn't spark your interest. Topics seemed too shallow, and often you pretended to be present, but your mind wandered far away, as if searching, without knowing where, for a place where your soul could finally feel at home. While other children adapted easily, you found yourself questioning rules, doubting obligations, and observing everything with a deeper gaze. At times, you may even have wondered if you were born into the right family, not out of lack of love, but because there was a gap between what you felt inside and what the world expected from you on the outside. It was as if there were something more, something no one could see, but that pulsed within you every day. That feeling was not a flaw, nor a sign of inadequacy. It was, in fact, one of the strongest pieces of evidence that your soul already carried expanded consciousness. The chosen ones often feel different, because they truly are. Not in the sense of superiority, but of depth. The world around you seemed small for the grand thoughts that already visited your mind at such an early age. This created a constant feeling of displacement, as if your true home were in another realm, another frequency, perhaps even another dimension. Instead of blindly adapting to what everyone did, you observed. You observed everything. And in that silence, in the pauses between what people said and what they actually did, you saw more than you should have. That sensitivity distanced you from certain groups, but also connected you to a much higher quest, the need to understand why you were that way. And that question, growing with time, was the calling, a clear sign that you were not born just to exist, but to transform. If that feeling of not belonging was a constant in your childhood, know that it was neither a mistake nor a curse. It was life trying to tell you, in subtle ways, that you were chosen to walk a different path, not the easiest, nor the most popular, but the truest one. And on that path, you are not alone. Many others have experienced the same, and with each step, your essence reveals itself stronger. What once separated you from the world was in truth what connected you to your purpose. Sign 2. You were extremely sensitive to the emotions of others. When someone around you was suffering, even in silence, you could feel it. It was as if other people's emotions traveled through the air and touched your heart directly. If a classmate was sad, you felt uneasy without knowing why. If an adult argued with another, even if it wasn't about you, a heaviness settled in your chest and sometimes lasted the whole day. From a young age, you could sense the energy of a place, the intentions behind words, the mood that shifted when someone entered the room. All of that came naturally to you, though others couldn't understand it. Being a sensitive child in a loud, fast-paced, and often insensitive world is not easy. Many called you dramatic, overly emotional, too sensitive. Some even said, "You need to be stronger," without realizing that your strength was already in your ability to feel. You didn't just see the world, you absorbed it. And that gift, though painful in childhood, is one of the greatest proofs that you are a chosen one. The chosen ones are neither cold nor indifferent. They are spiritual sponges. They sense what is hidden, perceive what has not been said, and carry within them an extremely fine-tuned emotional radar. This may have made you cry at unexpected moments, isolate yourself without an apparent reason, or even become emotionally unwell with pain that wasn't yours. But all of that was part of the process. Your soul came with a healing mission, and to heal, one must first feel. That sensitivity also gave you more empathy toward the people around you. While others mocked someone who was different, you put yourself in that person's place. While they made fun of a shy child, you approached them gently. And even when no one noticed, you suffered silently over injustices that others ignored. Your soul reacted to the pain of others as if it were your own. Over time, you may have tried to shut yourself off, to build barriers, to pretend you didn't care as much. But even then, your essence remained alive. It simply waited for a safer environment to blossom. Today, you must know, that sensitivity was not a flaw. It was a spiritual ability. And now that you understand this, you can begin to use this gift consciously, helping the world in the way only a chosen one can. Sign 3. You preferred to be alone, and that made you feel good. While most children ran to play in groups, make noise, and seek attention, you were different. Many times you preferred to stay in your own corner, inventing stories, drawing, observing nature, or simply diving into your own thoughts. That desire to be alone didn't come from sadness, but from a quiet comfort, as if your own inner world was more interesting than everything happening around you. You liked to explore ideas, to ask inner questions, to imagine the invisible. You weren't antisocial. You simply felt there was more truth in silence than in shallow conversations. Moments of solitude were your sacred refuge, where you could be who you truly were, without masks, without explanations. While others thought being alone was punishment, for you, it was liberation. Of course, at times this choice was misunderstood. You may have been called weird, isolated, or even arrogant. But what others didn't know is that you didn't avoid the world out of fear. You withdrew because you needed to be with yourself. Your spirit needed silence to hear the subtle signs from within. And that, in childhood, is one of the greatest marks of those who carry a higher mission. The chosen ones show this tendency toward introspection from an early age, not out of shyness, but spiritual necessity. The external world often overwhelms them, and it's in seclusion that their strength is renewed. So if you were the child who stared at the sky, drew quietly, or preferred to listen rather than speak, understand, you were already connected to your essence. Temporary isolation was not loneliness. It was realignment with your purpose. Those moments that seemed strange to others were, in truth, portals of consciousness opening within you. And now that you've grown, you might realize that the habit of retreat still remains. This only confirms that your soul continues to thirst for truth, depth, and connection with the invisible. A true chosen one has never feared being alone, because they know that within silence resides the divine voice. Sign 4. You questioned everything, even without getting answers. From a young age, you were never satisfied with, "because I said so," or "that's just how it is." You wanted to understand, to go beyond the surface. While other children accepted rules as part of life, you looked at them with suspicion, not out of rebellion, but because something inside you already sought truth. Your child's eyes noticed inconsistencies that adults ignored, and that often made you feel out of place. You wondered why people lied, why so much inequality existed, or why some were treated so unfairly. You may have asked questions that made your parents uncomfortable or that teachers didn't know how to answer. And over time, you realized not everyone was prepared for the depth of your doubts. Still, you kept asking, even if only to yourself. That urge to find meaning was not common. It was a sign that your consciousness was already in the process of awakening. Questioning is not a lack of faith, it is the beginning of true understanding. The chosen ones are not blindly obedient, they are seekers. They want to feel truth vibrating within, not just repeat what others say. This characteristic led you to live much inside your own mind, reflecting, analyzing, trying to understand how the world worked. Often it distanced you from games and groups but brought you closer to something greater, your mission. You knew you weren't born just to follow. You were born to discover. And that search, even if solitary, has always been your greatest guide. If you were the child who asked uncomfortable questions, who read between the lines and doubted what seemed obvious, understand, that was never arrogance. It was your spirit refusing to live in ignorance. Questioning was the first step your soul took toward truth. A chosen one does not accept lies disguised as normality. They seek the light behind the curtain. Sign 5. You had vivid dreams, visions, or premonitions. While other children slept and forgot, you woke up with your heart racing, remembering every detail of what you dreamed. Sometimes it was a place you didn't know yet felt familiar. Other times it was a warning, an image, a presence watching you as you slept. From a young age, the world of dreams was more real to you than to most. And more than that, it seemed to carry messages. You may have shared your dreams, and no one believed you. Or perhaps they even mocked you, saying it was just imagination. But with time, you noticed that some things you dreamed simply happened, not exactly as a script, but as if the dream had prepared you for what was coming. These experiences were not random, they were spiritual signs. The chosen ones often have a natural connection to the astral plane. During sleep, when the body rests, the soul travels, and for souls with a high purpose, these journeys are guided. You may have visited places from past lives, received messages from beings of light, or even faced nightmares that were actually spiritual battles. And even though you didn't understand it all at the time, you felt something sacred was happening. With time, you may have learned to keep quiet about these dreams. But even in silence, they continued to come. And they always carried some kind of message, whether of warning, comfort, or revelation. This is one of the earliest gifts to appear in a chosen one, the sensitivity to perceive beyond the material. If in your childhood you had vivid dreams, unusual visions, or felt presences during the night, doubt no longer. You were already being trained, even if you didn't know it. Your soul was preparing itself while you slept. And now, more aware, you can begin to honor this gift. The chosen ones don't ignore invisible signs. They listened to them with reverence. Sign 6. You couldn't tolerate injustice, even as a child. There was something inside you that stirred in the face of injustice. When you saw someone being mistreated, excluded, or humiliated, you couldn't remain indifferent. Even without knowing what to do, your body would heat up, your heart would tighten. It was as if your very spirit cried out for intervention, for balance, for justice. Perhaps you defended classmates at school, even when it got you into trouble. Or you felt upset the entire day because you witnessed an adult being rude to someone who didn't deserve it. You were bothered by unfair rules, excessive punishments, or words too harsh for such a young soul. While many simply watched, you felt, and often you acted. That sense of justice wasn't learned. It was innate. It was the reflection of a spirit that carries the purpose of restoring balance wherever there is imbalance. Since childhood, you already showed the strength of a guardian, and even without realizing it, you were already acting as a presence that protects and confronts what is wrong, even in silence. It's likely that this caused problems for you. Sometimes your courage was mistaken for insubordination. Other times you were called arrogant, rebellious, or disobedient. But deep down, everything you did was simply a reaction to situations your soul knew were not right. The chosen naturally feel the call to defend what is right, even when it comes at a cost. Over time, maybe you grew silent, tired of the consequences. But now it's time to remember that drive for justice is a spiritual gift. It never disappeared. It was just waiting for the right moment to return with strength. And that moment has arrived. The chosen are not passive in the face of evil. They stand up to it, even trembling inside. Because within them is something greater than fear: truth. Sign 7. You felt presences even when you were alone. From a very young age, you had the feeling that you weren't completely alone. Sometimes it was a light shiver, a subtle change in the air, that impression that someone was watching you, but not in a negative way. It was a silent presence, as if something greater accompanied you during moments of fear, of tears, or even during your deepest thoughts. Many children report this, but few experience it with the same intensity as the chosen ones. This spiritual sensitivity is one of the first doors to open in souls that came with an elevated mission. You might have been sitting in your room, playing, or just staring into the void, and suddenly felt an inexplicable comfort, as though an invisible force embraced you. Or in other moments, you felt an alert, as if something was protecting you from what you couldn't see. That was not imagination. It was perception. The chosen have an energy field that is highly sensitive. They can easily sense vibrations, intentions, and presences because they were born with a higher frequency. This gift, however, can seem confusing in childhood, since no one teaches a child how to interpret the spiritual world. That's why many grew up silencing these perceptions, trying to fit into what adults called normal. But it was never normal. It was spiritual. It was protection. It was the universe whispering, "You're not alone." If you recognize this feeling, know that it was part of your preparation. You were born with an open door to the invisible, and that connection followed you as you grew. Today, you're beginning to understand that those presences were not imaginary. They were part of the calling that has always existed within you. The chosen walk with guides from their very first day of life. Sign 8. Nature spoke to you in a different way. While other children ran, played, and made noise, you found a special kind of peace in nature. It was as if trees, animals, water, and wind carried meanings that only you could perceive. Maybe you talked to plants, felt relief by leaning against a tree, or looked at the sky as if receiving a silent message. That bond wasn't coincidence, it was pure spiritual connection. Perhaps you were that child who preferred to play alone with stones, leaves, ants, or clouds, creating inner stories no one else understood. Or maybe you were the type who felt deeply disturbed when someone hurt an animal, cut a plant, or acted disrespectfully toward the environment. Within you lived a consciousness beyond your age. It was spiritual empathy. That behavior, often labeled overly sensitive, was in fact a gift. The chosen ones are connected to the Earth's energetic plane because their mission includes healing, connection, and transformation. Nature always recognizes those who came to serve the light, and that's why it called to you. Through the peace it offered, the intuition it awakened, and the sense of belonging that no human company could replicate. Moreover, nature helped balance your energy. When the world felt heavy, when emotions were overwhelming, when everything seemed confusing, that's where you found relief. It was a silent temple where your soul could breathe. If in childhood you felt deeply connected to animals, plants, water, or the sky, know that this reveals one of the purest characteristics of the chosen ones, the ability to feel the spirit of life in everything around you. You weren't just playing, you were remembering who you truly are. Sign 9. Your imagination went beyond ordinary limits. To many, you were just an overly imaginative child, but inside, you knew there was more. Your fantasies weren't mere inventions, they were gateways to other realms. Your imaginary friends were probably not so imaginary. Your stories came fully formed, complex, as if they were memories. Your games felt more like acts of creation than simple playtime. The mind of a chosen one works differently. From an early age, it can access intuitive, spiritual, and symbolic dimensions that most only reach in adulthood, and even then with difficulty. But you were already there. You saw beyond the obvious. You created inner worlds that felt as real as the physical one. Maybe you were the child who talked to yourself, inventing entire dialogues, or the one who spent hours staring at nothing, imagining entire universes. Maybe you drew strange symbols, created wise characters, heroes who reflected parts of your own soul. That wasn't just a fertile imagination, it was spiritual access. Many chosen children unconsciously recreate fragments of past lives, energies from other dimensions, or intuitive messages. The adult world taught you to call that fantasy. But in truth, it was memory. It was ancient knowledge trying to emerge. If as a child, you had your head in the clouds, it wasn't distraction. It was spiritual connection. It was your soul speaking to you in symbolic, intuitive, and profound ways. The chosen do not merely play with imagination. They awaken through it. Sign 10. You often fell ill, but recovered. Almost miraculously during childhood, you may have faced recurring illnesses, sudden fevers, unexplained allergies, or intense physical sensations that came and went without a clear cause. Many may have said you were fragile, but in truth, your body was undergoing deep adjustments. Just as sensitive instruments require calibration, your spiritual body needed to adapt to the physical plane. You carried an energy too elevated for a small, developing body. These moments of illness were not signs of weakness. They were natural manifestations of an energetic purification process. You recovered quickly, sometimes astonishing doctors and family members because your strength wasn't merely physical. It was spiritual. Each fever, each malaise, each bodily challenge was a way of balancing frequencies, aligning chakras, and strengthening your spiritual structure for what was to come. These experiences also served as constant reminders that you were protected. Sign 11. You felt that something greater was watching and guiding you. From an early age, you had the impression that an invisible force followed your steps. It wasn't fear. It was a persistent feeling of protection. Sometimes it seemed like a silent presence comforted you after crying. Other times it felt like something warned you before making a wrong decision. You couldn't explain it, but you knew. You were never truly alone. That perception was your natural connection with your spiritual guides, angels, mentors, or ancestors. The chosen enter the world with a spiritual team already prepared to accompany them from their very first breath, because their mission demands preparation from childhood. This presence helped you avoid danger, guided you intuitively, and even made you notice paths other children could not see. Many times you believed it was just imagination, but the truth is your soul was always aware of this protection. When you stared into nothing and felt peace, when you clearly heard your intuition, or when you just knew you shouldn't do something, that force was at work. And you, even at such a young age, already had the sensitivity to perceive it. If you recognize that deep sense of having been guided since childhood, know that it confirms one of the most defining traits of the chosen ones. The divine and the ancestral have always been by your side, and they still are today. If you recognize these signs in your childhood, know that none of it was a coincidence. Every feeling, every perception, every unusual experience was part of a silent preparation for what your soul came here to fulfill. From a young age, you carried marks of purpose, sensitivity, and spiritual strength, even before understanding who you truly were. Now that you've remembered these memories, allow them to illuminate your path from this point forward. You are awakening to your truth, your mission, and the power that has lived within you since the beginning. Before you go, leave a comment. Which of these signs did you notice in your childhood? Your story may help other chosen ones recognize their own journey and understand that they were never alone. I am George, and I thank you for walking with me. Let's awaken together.